Sure. And an outline.
Hey, Matt, we're live. If you want to just tell them we'll get started in 5 minutes.
Okay. Okay, we are live right now on YouTube on the live feed, and we're going to get started in just a couple minutes. Got someone stepping out to grab a water really quick, which we're always going to encourage drinking water. I love it when I'm training clients, and sometimes during a workout they'll say, "Can I go grab a drink of water?" And I'm like, "Oh, you never have to ask me if you can have water. Water is, you can always stop and have water." So we'll get started in just a couple minutes. The audio seemed pretty good. Did it come through all right? Yeah.
I know, there you go.
Well, if you need a drink, we'll let you out in the hallway and get one on a drinking fountain. Okay, so here we are on Tuesday, September 15th. This is day 3 of the Greater Midland Community Center's Infinity Challenge. The biggest, best challenge yet to come. We've had a couple Shake It Off challenges, and now this Infinity Challenge, and very excited about a lot of the things that we're doing. Tonight we're going to talk about HIIT training. First, just to introduce myself, I'm Matt Smith, formerly owner of Smitty's Ironworks. Most people know me and refer to me as Smitty, so I've been in Midland doing fitness and working in fitness for, well, we had Smitty's for 15 years, but it's been about 20 years for me in the fitness industry. Born and raised in Midland. Other than some time in the Army, I've been here my whole life, so this is my community, and us joining forces with the community center was really a homecoming for me, because this is where I grew up as a little kid, playing basketball and working out and stuff like that. So really glad to be here. Again, we're going to talk about HIIT. So who can tell me what HIIT means? Does anyone know what the acronym HIIT stands for? Yep, high intensity interval training, okay? So high intensity interval training to some people would sound kind of like, wow, I don't necessarily need to do something that's high intensity, you know, maybe that's not my speed, but really what it means is putting together a group of exercises that you do consecutively to keep your heart rate up, do some resistance training, and get all the benefits of the different types of exercise that we have. So it's an alternative to doing cardio on a piece of cardio equipment or a cardio group exercise class, and then going and doing your resistance training. You can kind of wrap it up all into one. It's very, very effective, especially if you're crunched for time and you don't have a lot of time to break up all those pieces. You can get in, get out, and do it really quickly. One of the questions people have, of course, is what do I need? What do I need to have access to? If I'm not going to do it at the gym or the fitness center, what kind of space do I need? This is really easy, and you're going to see tonight that you can do it in a small space. You can do it in your living room. I've done it in hotel rooms. You can do it outside in the yard. You can do it in a corner. A lot of times you'll see people in the fitness center just setting up a couple little things in a corner of the fitness center. So you can do it anywhere. You don't need much room at all. The equipment that you need can vary from nothing, just yourself, to a set of dumbbells, maybe a set of dumbbells and a kettlebell, maybe a set of dumbbells and a stability ball or a BOSU ball. So you can get creative, but really at the end of the day, I'm going to show you how you can do one of these workouts with nothing at all. So again, if you're traveling, if you're at a relative's house, you're in a hotel room, you're out in the yard and you just want to have fun with it, you don't really need any equipment at all to do a high intensity interval workout. Typical structures, okay? So how do we typically structure a high intensity workout? On your handout there, you can see, we start with like 3 to 4 exercises and then move up to maybe 5 or 6 exercises and then 6 or more. The way you're really going to choose those is what your current fitness level is, or what you feel like your current fitness level is going to have a big impact or a big bearing on that. So someone who's just getting started, you want to look at like 3 or 4 exercises. And you can see there I put an example of a cardio movement, a push, and a pull. So you ask yourself, what do you mean by a push and a pull? Okay, and that's part of what I really want you to learn tonight, is to think of things in terms of how the body moves instead of trying to memorize a bunch of exercises. Because unless you work in fitness or you really, really are engaged in it, you're probably not going to learn a whole book full of names of exercises. So if you think of things as pushing and pulling, then you really can put together the right exercises to keep the balance in that workout. So a push-up would be a pull, okay? A pull-up would be a pull. Or a tricep exercise would be a push, because you're pushing away from you, or you're doing a dumbbell kickback, so you're pushing away. A bicep curl would be a pull. All right, so you've got push, pull, or push, pull in terms of that. The reason that's so important, especially with the major pushing and pulling movements, is that a lot of times the popular exercises in fitness would be things like push-ups, bench press, flies, and different things like that. And those are all really great for your chest and your shoulders and your triceps and things like that. The problem is we're not getting the upper back work, okay? And so your pull-ups, your dumbbell rows, and we'll go through some of these. We'll do a little demo with the dumbbells. A lot of those pulling exercises are the ones that are going to work your upper back, the back of your neck, in through your lats, down through the center of your back. One of the biggest things that's important about those exercises is those are your posture builders. So when you see people tend to slunch or hunch over or something like that, it's because they've lost the muscle tone in their upper back to keep those shoulder blades back, to keep the shoulders up and stand nice and upright. Now, to compound that and make it even worse, if you're doing a lot of pushing movements, again, your push-ups and bench presses and things like that, you're tightening up the chest muscles and the shoulders, pulling those muscles down. So now as those muscles are pulling down, you're even, you know, giving your body more ability to let that back hunch and let it round over. That leads to back aches and a whole slew of other things. So that's where we really, really, really want to always focus on balance and doing as much for one side as you do the other. So again, if we think in small muscle groups of like biceps and triceps, if you do an exercise for the triceps, you need to do one for the biceps. When you go down to the legs, if you do an exercise for your quads, you need to do an exercise for your hamstrings. Again, that's another area where we tend to lose balance a lot of times, and quadricep exercises are very popular. Squats, lunges, things like that that you do all the time, but we're not necessarily doing an equal amount for our hamstrings, which a lot of times is why you see athletes have hamstring pulls. So typically if you see in a softball game or, you know, any other classic scenario like that, you're going to see 9 hamstring pulls to every 1 quadricep pull. And it's just because our quads get over dominant, just like our chest gets over dominant to our back. So balance, balance, balance is the biggest thing when we're looking at the structure and we're setting these up. The second example there was a cardio, a push, a pull, and a core. Okay, so now if we're going to go to 4 exercises, we're going to start to pull in a core exercise. The cardio portion is going to be any type of calisthenic. It can be a body weight squat. It can be a jumping jack. It can be a burpee. It can be toe touchers. It can be anything like that that you've done since you were in grade school that would be considered a cardiovascular calisthenic type exercise. So that is probably the main component to this that you want to make sure that you have in every one of these high intensity interval workouts, because that's the part that's getting that heart rate up and keeping it up. When we get to 5 or 6 exercises, now we're going to see an example like cardio, push, pull, core, shoulders, biceps, and triceps. And again, the important thing is there we've got the biceps and the triceps so that we're still keeping that balance. When you get to 6 or more, you can get creative, but you're always thinking balance. You're always thinking, am I doing something for one side that you're doing for the other? So if we got into 6 and we started to add in a little bit more of leg work, maybe you're doing body weight squats and that's hitting your lunge, or you're doing lunges and that's hitting your quads, then we can lay on the floor and do hamstring curls with a stability ball or something like that. But what I really want you to take away from this is that you're thinking about how you're balancing that workout and making sure that both sides are working together. The other thing in structure is you can't really overdo the cardio piece. You can add that cardio in anywhere. So for example, if we were doing 5 to 6, this could look like cardio, a push, a pull, a cardio, a core exercise, shoulders, cardio, bicep, triceps, rest, and then back again. Again, it really depends on your fitness level and the overall duration that you feel like you can do at the time. When we talk about time, that's an important factor here because this is another very flexible part of how you can do your high intensity training. So in regards to aspects of time, you can do, there's no set rule that says you do each exercise for 15 seconds or 30 seconds or 45 seconds or a minute. It's really up to you and how you want to structure it. That's one of my favorite things about this is I call it plug and play. You plug things in and just go for it and make it be different and flexible. And to me, that makes it not so rigid. I see a lot of times when people exercise a lot, they have a lot of rigidity in their exercise program, and it maybe starts to feel like a job. And so you kind of, you know, that's where I would encourage that plug and play mentality, where you're just making it be creative, making it be different. If you pick up a copy of Shape Magazine or Oxygen, or you're on YouTube or something like that, and you see a couple exercises in there, and you go, wow, that looks really cool, pop that into your high intensity training intervals that you're going to do. Start out easy. Start out, with like 15-second, maybe 20-second intervals. Put 3 or 4 things together. So now we're going for about a minute. We've got about a minute work time, and then make those rest periods as short as possible. A really easy way to start out and find out what you need for a rest period is try half the rest period for the work interval. So if you're doing 4 exercises and you do 15 seconds each, and that is a minute, then rest for 30 seconds and do a minute of work again and take a 30-second rest, and do a minute of work and a 30-second rest. Once you go through that a couple times, you'll start to go, yeah, I probably can pick that up a little bit, and maybe I only need 15 seconds of rest for each minute of work. The longer those intervals, or the longer the work set gets, the more rest you may need. It's a great time to get a drink of water or something like that. With some of the clients that I train that have been working out with me for a long time, and they have a really high fitness level, we will literally do 15 minutes nonstop with no rest of exercise, just switching from one to the other, and typically upwards of 30 seconds to a minute for each one. So I may put together a group of 15 exercises that we do for a minute each, and then you get like a 2-minute break. Get a drink of water, bring the heart rate back down, and then right back into it. So just to give you an idea, in a 30-minute workout, you really only need to put together, say, 2 different sets of exercises that you're going to do them for a minute, take a 2-minute break, run through the list again, grab this group of exercises that you put together, run through it again, boom, you're done. The beauty of it is you walk away from this workout knowing that you got everything done. If you're doing it right, you should never really have to ask yourself, well, did I do enough for my core? Did I get my cardio in? Did I get my resistance training in, my muscle toning and stuff like that? You're going to get it every single time in every single one of these workouts. So it is a very, very complete way to do it. I think one of the things that's brought this style of working out on is the fact that people are more time crunched. There's certainly a scientific benefit to the metabolic effects of doing this, but at the end of the day, 20 years ago, when we used to spend 2 hours in the gym, we just had more time. And I don't care who it is now. I mean, people just don't have that kind of time anymore. So we're looking for ways to be effective and be quick, but still make sure that we get all the right stuff in there and that we're staying balanced. Because balance honestly is the key to being injury-free and total wellness and being happy with the way you feel. So the considerations for designing your workout, again, I can't stress that enough. It's the balanced approach. It's really thinking about, if I go one way, I got to go the other way. Every single part of your body has that need. Even, here's one people don't think about a lot of times. So you do an abdominal exercise, and I'm not a big proponent of crunches. It's not a great functional exercise. We don't really do many things in life that use our abdominal muscles that way, but it's a good analogy. So if you did a set of crunches, you would need to do something for your lower back, or you would want to do something for your lower back. Okay, so if we do planks, or we do leg lifts, or we do flutter kicks, or something like that, that's focusing mainly on the abdominal wall, then we need to do something for our lower back. What are we going to do? We can flip over on our stomach, and we can do some Supermans where we're just pulling the hands off the floor. We can do the hyperextension machine that you're going to have just about everywhere. But the main thing is you've got to do something for your lower back if you're doing something for your core. Usually, if people have low back pain, it comes from having either your abdominal wall or your lower back. One side's pulling harder than the other side, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard of, you know, how that causes problems with the hips and the pelvic tilt, and then it gets into your hip flexors and into your glutes, and it really honestly can cause all kinds of problems. We can solve these problems by balancing our workouts. I mean, I shouldn't say solve. We can really help. We can really help those problems and stay away from those problems by balancing our workouts. So how often can I do this? How often can you do these type of workouts? Honestly, the intensity that most people are going to do these workouts, you really can do this every day. I mean, you really could do 15 minutes to 30 minutes of this every day if you wanted to. Would I recommend that you do that? Not necessarily, because again, I really like variety. But you certainly can do it every day. You certainly can do it, say, 3 days a week. A lot of people, if you like to walk or you like to bicycle or jog or rollerblade or something like that, or you do like to do a group fitness class, something to that effect, you may do a class on Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday morning or something, and you do, you know, HIIT workouts on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You know, it breaks up your week. You've got something different to do. Again, you're getting a lot of variety out of the group fitness classes. You're probably going to, depending on which group fitness classes you're doing, you're going to learn some things in your group fitness classes that you can go, oh, hey, I'm going to plug that into one of my HIIT workouts. You know, you'll learn some new moves and some new things there that you can plug into these HIIT classes also. So I would encourage you to, you know, break those things up, do those outside activities, even in the winter. A lot of people aren't aware of some of the really great resources that we have in Midland to do some exercise and stuff outside with the Chippewa Nature Center and City Forest. You can get snowshoes, you can get cross-country skis and stuff like that. So take advantage of those and space those out with the workouts, with these high-intensity workouts. So before we go into, say, some demonstrations and some samples of how we would do this, does anyone have any questions? Okay, no questions. Then let's do this. Your chairs are fairly spread out here, so we won't need to spread out too much. But what I would like is anyone that wants to participate, we're going to come over to the cart. There's a ton of different sizes of dumbbells on there. Let's grab 2 dumbbells. And I don't want anyone laughing or saying, Smitty got 5-pound dumbbells, because I have a good excuse. So no laughing at me and my little dumbbells. I tore my bicep tendon, so I just had it surgically reattached. So it's not too bad as long as I keep the weight light. But so let's say for the first one, we're going back to that 3 or 4 exercises, and we're doing a cardio and a push and a pull. Let's do, what we're going to do is we're going to do a body weight squat, and then we're going to lay on the floor and do what I would call a floor press for the chest, and then we're going to stand up and we're going to do a dumbbell curl. So when we do the body weight squat, we'll do a little squat lesson. These are, I'm sure, things that you've heard before, but I absolutely love the squat. And I love to see people do it right. And I hate to hear people say I can't squat because I have bad knees or stuff like that. So we'll go through a little bit on that squat. The biggest mistake people make when they do a squat, body weight or otherwise, is they start the movement from the knees. Because you think, okay, I'm going to squat. If I'm going to squat down, that's going to start at the knees. We don't want it to start at the knees, okay? We want to think about the squat starting at the hips. So when we put our hands out for balance and we start that at the hips, we're going to break at the hips and then drop down and then come up, okay? So never start with the knees, because what happens is if you start with the knees first and then you try to sit back, it doesn't work very well. Okay, but if we start at the hips and we start the hips back and then we come down, that helps us keep our balance and stay on our heels. And you always want to be on your heels. If you feel yourself start to rock up on your toes or your toes kind of tilting into the front of your shoes, then you know your knees are coming forward. And if you could just imagine when I do this, when you're looking from the side, all of this pressure coming down through the femur is right on the front of the kneecap. And that's why we get knee pain from the squat. Now, if you watch from the side and I come down here, I'm making a nice hinge and all the pressure's back here and it's not pushing out onto the front of my knee. So that's your squat. That's your squat lesson. Just think hips, 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 hips. You got to push that butt back like you're sitting back in a chair and then just sit right down and go down as far as you feel like you can and then back up. Okay? So let's do a body weight. Oh, I'll show you the next two first. So when we do a lot of times we think if we're going to do a dumbbell press or something, I got to have a bench or something like that. Absolutely not. It's certainly just as good laying on the floor and doing presses just like this as it is if you're on a bench. Okay? And then the last one we're going to do is a dumbbell row. Again, you see a lot of different variations of this. The biggest thing is you've got to keep your head up and your chest up here so that when you pull back, you're pulling back here, okay? The biggest thing you see here is as soon as your eyes drop to the floor, you tend to want to round your back. So if I'm in this position and I bring my head up and look forward, it automatically flattens my back out. Now my back is in a nice healthy position to be able to do something like that. So again, on that row, we start upright, we bend at the waist, keeping the eyes up. If you're down in the fitness center, the best thing I tell people is use the mirrors. The mirrors aren't there, you know, like we think people are looking at themselves and flexing in the mirror and doing all that. That's fine, but they really do serve a purpose, and the purpose is to make sure you use good form. So I tell people when you're down there in the fitness center and you're looking in the mirror and you're doing that, use it as accountability. If you're not looking at yourself, then your eyes have dropped and your back is rounded. Okay, so we're here and we're pulling. You can pull with your hand neutral to the side. You can turn the hand here. It's not going to change it that much. So whichever feels comfortable and natural is fine. Okay, so let's start with our body weight squat. We're going to do these for 20 seconds, and then I'll talk you through switching them over. So squatting and go. Just down easy and up. Inhale on the way down, exhale on the way up. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. In, out. Staying back on the heels, leading with the hips. Trying to keep your chest up, trying to keep good posture. Takes a little practice. And good, okay? Now we're gonna lay down on the floor. Our housekeeping crew does an awesome job in here, so the floor is super clean. And we're gonna lay down and do that press and begin. So we're gonna press up and down. Again, you're breathing here. Exhale on the way up, inhale on the way down. Exhale up, inhale down. Nice and smooth. And relax. Good. We're going to come back up on our feet. In the dumbbell row, bend at the waist, eyes up, and pull. Good. Pull. Good. A lot of times we refer to this as the lawnmower. Okay? It's like pulling the cord on the lawnmower. Ha ha ha. Then you have a good one. And relax. Good. Okay, so that's 90 seconds right there in a very, very simple basic set of 3. All right. So this time, let's put it together into a bigger group. So we'll do our squat again. We'll do, for a push, this time we'll do a fly. Okay, so the fly is going to be the same laying on your back as the press was, except for this time, I want you to visualize hugging a tree. Okay, so you've got your just a slight bend to your elbows. You're bringing your elbows out. You should feel a nice gentle stretch through your chest. And then you're maintaining the angle of that arm as you bring it up. Again, inhale back, exhale up. Okay, so that's going to be our fly. Let's do the dumbbell row again for the pull. Then let's do a jumping jack. Then let's do a... Are you guys okay doing a plank on the floor for a few seconds without a mat? Sometimes I have whiny clients. They're like, I need a mat for my forearms. But so let's do a plank for the core. Then we're going to do a tricep extension overhead and a bicep curl. Okay, so we'll start with that body weight squat. Again, we'll keep these to about 15, 20 seconds each, and you'll kind of get a feeling for how a longer one goes. And squats, go. Sitting back and up. Hinge at the hips, staying back on the heels, keeping the eyes up, good posture. You can really play around with your foot position too. A lot of times people will ask with a squat, should my feet be wide? Should they be narrow? I want you to be comfortable. Everybody's hip structure is much different. So wherever it feels like it's comfortable sitting down into a chair, some people will be narrow, for some people will be wider. And relax. Down onto your back with the dumbbells. We'll do the fly. And begin. So we're out wide and up. Inhale down, exhale up. I like to keep my knees bent and my feet on the floor with your legs in this position. It tends to make it easier to keep your lower back flat on the floor so you don't round your lower back and get that little bit of strain in your lower back. And relax. Okay, we're back up on our feet for the row. And begin. Chest up. So reach down, pull up. Reach down, pull up. Good. Keeping your chest up, keeping your head up, back nice and flat. And you're really thinking about the shoulder blades. So as your hands come down, your shoulder blades are coming apart. As your elbows come up along your sides, you're pulling those shoulder blades together. So again, you're thinking about those muscles that are keeping your posture good. So at the top, when you pull up, it's pulling those shoulder blades together, just like you'd be in good posture. And relax, good. Okay, now we're going to do the cardio. We're going to do a jumping jack. Ready, go. Just a basic, good old-fashioned jumping jack. These always work every time. Doesn't matter how old you are. Yeah, no, you're fine. Well, this is being recorded, and when my wife sees me with my arm doing things with my arm, I'm probably going to be in trouble when I get home, too. And relax, good. Okay, so now we're doing our front plank. Okay, so I won't be able to do the plank. I just realized I won't be able to do that. We're down on our forearms. So while you guys are doing the plank, I'm going to talk you through how this plank should look and feel. Ready, go. Lift up on the toes, on the forearms and the toes. Good. Okay, now I really want you to focus on pulling your belly button into your lower back. Okay, so think about drawing that in, contracting your abs, use your abdominal core to pull that into your lower back. Steady, steady, steady. Everyone's got really good posture right now, looking really good. 3, 2, 1. Good, relax. Okay, so we're going to come back up on our feet. And we're going to do For you guys, you'll do it with both hands. I'm going to do it with one hand, a tricep extension. So we're going to come hands overhead. You want your elbow up near your ear like this. Okay, so if your elbows are out here or out here, we want to try to get them up by the ear, and we're just going to bring it back and press straight up. Okay, so just kind of remember, if your elbows are near your ears, that's where you're using that tricep in the back of your arm the best. Again, you inhale down, exhale as you go up. Inhale down, breathe up. Good. And relax. Now one dumbbell in each hand. And we'll do the bicep curl. So now our elbows are at our sides. And we're curling up and down. Now, lots of variations of the curl. You can have your hand supinated underneath like this. That's fine. Okay. You can do it hammer curl style this way where you're bringing the thumb up. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people will have the thumb up at the bottom and turn it as they come up. All these different positions do is change slightly how you're using the bicep muscle in between the short head and the long head of the tricep. I will tell you that the hammer grip style, where the thumb stays up the whole time, is really good if you feel like you have weak grip or forearms. Okay, so you're going to add a little grip and forearm work in there if you do that hammer style like that. And relax. Good. So that was 6, 7 exercises in a row, just like that. You keep going through the whole thing. Boom, 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 boom. You got your balance. You got some cardio in there. It's really, really not hard at all. It's again, going back to the way it's named, high intensity interval training, sounds really intimidating. You can see it's really not. It's really, really easy to take all the exercises you've always known how to do and throw them together in a few little packages like that to put it together.
So when you're training with somebody, like we're taking our time because you're telling us what and how to do it. How fast are you really moving from one thing to the other?
As quickly as they can. You know, getting up and getting down off the floor. You know, sometimes I'll really put some thought into how many things can we do down on the floor before we get back up. So, you know, it may be a chest press and roll right over into a plank, and then roll right over into a Superman for the lower back, and then roll right over into a set of flutter kicks and then back up on your feet. You know, so you really can think about that. If you want to keep that intensity up and really keep that heart rate going, then as you're sitting down, and it's pretty easy, you can use a notepad on your phone, you can use a scratch piece of paper. You know, if you're sitting there looking at a magazine or something and you're like, oh, hey, I could put this and this and this together, just scratch it down and set it next to you. And that way it kind of keeps you on track. The other thing with writing it down or using an iPad or something like that is it gives you the opportunity to visually look at the set of exercises that you've chosen and think about the balance again. So sometimes when you're thinking about it in your head, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. But when you look at it, you go, visual accountability. Do I have a push and a pull, a bicep, a tricep, a hamstring, a quad, you know, a core, a lower back, that type of thing. So it does really help with that. And, you know, it's pretty easy too, again, if you use electronics, iPads, phone, things like that, to come up with a few favorites, you know, and just call them number 1, number 2, number 3, and rotate through them. You know, keep it fresh, mix them up, mix them around. Once you find some things that work pretty well for you, then as your fitness level comes up, it's not even necessarily always a matter of adding in more exercises, but just adding duration. You know, a lot of times you'll see in a group fitness class, you might do one thing like a curl or something for a minute, you know, or 2 minutes, or a squat or a lunge or something like that for quite a while. And that's perfectly okay. You're just going to put more and more and more of them together depending on what you feel like that day. Again, that's the beauty of it. You can kind of put a whole bunch of things together in shorter duration, or you can use just a couple basic things and do them longer. There's not a wrong way as long as it's balanced. That's really the key takeaway, is there's no wrong way to do these workouts as long as they're balanced. Question?
Yep. A question from Facebook. Amanda Dollar is interested in whether or not you know of any good websites that have some HIIT workouts that she can look up so she can use them when she's home or away.
I do not, but I'm thinking Google would be a great resource. Unfortunately, I don't, just because they're all in my head, because I fortunately do it every day. So I have the luxury of doing it every day, and so I've never necessarily used a resource like anything online. But what I would encourage is, when you're looking for new exercises to plug into your workouts, use YouTube. You know, if you have a stability ball or a physio ball or a Swiss ball, whatever you want to call it, at home, or you have a BOSU ball, or, you know, we have them here in our fitness centers, medicine balls, different things like that, go to YouTube and just punch in BOSU. You will come up with all kinds of ideas how to do that. You know, flipping the BOSU upside down and doing your push-ups on it, doing squats standing on it. I mean, there's so many variations to the basic things that we did today, like the squat, like that. Even the tricep exercises and the bicep exercises and things that we do, step up on a BOSU and you've got a whole new exercise again. Now you've got a core stability exercise and a balance exercise, because you're kind of wobbling on that while you're doing that curl. Okay, so it's challenging your legs, it's challenging your core, you're keeping your core engaged. So it's endless. You know, when I say plug and play, I literally mean you can plug anything into this structure and it won't be wrong as long as it's balanced. Again, as long as you're keeping that balance. But YouTube is such a great resource. One thing to keep your eyes on the Greater Midland YouTube channel is we're actually working on creating an exercise index for the members, where the personal training staff is going through and we're recording exercises, just everything we can think of, from how to use the machines to how to do, you know, functional exercises, and creating an entire YouTube catalog ourselves. So you can always go to that and grab different things out of there, grab them, plug them into your workouts, and boom, you're off and running. Any other questions?
Do you have a rather what's better when you add the endurance with longer time rather than the amount of weight you're using?
That goes back a little bit to goals.
Okay.
If you really want to do more muscle toning, I would try to challenge yourself with increasing the weight. Increasing the weight is going to increase the muscle tone a little more, where using lighter weights and going for longer duration is going to give you more of the cardiovascular effect. So, you know, a lot of times it's going to be a stair-step type approach, where, you know, if you're using 5-pounders and you're doing 15 seconds and you're doing, you know, 5 or 6 different exercises, then you're going to use those same weights until you get up to 30 or 45 seconds. And then you can say, okay, now it's time to go to 8s, or it's time to go to 10-pounders or something like that, and go back down to 15 seconds and work your way back up again. So you really have the ability to do a continual build up, you know, over time with that. Because, you know, essentially at the end of the day, let's face it, I mean, yes, you can do bicep curls for 2 minutes, but it really is not that fun. You know, so it gets to the point where pretty quickly, as your fitness level is coming up, you're going to say, oh man, I can do this, and I'm not getting that desired heart rate effect again. You know, and in talking about heart rate, where I would really focus to get a good range in your heart rate for these high intensity interval workouts would be somewhere in the probably minimum 60-65% of your maximum heart rate, up to about 80, maybe 85%. That's going to be the upper level. If you're really going and you're doing burpees and you're doing jumping jacks and you're pressing and doing squats and doing lunges and things like that, you know, most of us know to some extent too what we can handle and whether you can handle that threshold of 80-85% of a maximum heart rate. Figuring out your maximum heart rate, that's you can use the easiest way is 220 minus your age, and that's your maximum heart rate. So very quick math gives you a number that says that's my maximum heart rate, and 80% of that is X, and that's the highest I typically, you know, want to go for an extended amount of time. And then 60%, you know, I definitely would want to be at least 65% to say I'm working hard enough. Otherwise, probably need to kick it up a little bit. You know, you can definitely go through some more intensive calculations and things like that that involve checking your resting heart rate right out of bed, like for 4 or 5 days in a row, and you get a really true resting heart rate. Measure for that, and then you put that into an equation, and you know those things are all online. You can look at it and follow that if you want, but the easiest, simplest place to get yourself into a really good ballpark is going to be 220 minus your age. That's what all of the charts on the cardio equipment that kind of have that. Here's my age, here's my range. That's what they're based on every single time. And then the only other piece to that would be if you have some kind of history of cardiovascular issues or whatever, then you're going to want to have some guidance from your doctor. But heart rate's a great way to do it. You don't have to have a heart rate monitor. You can definitely take your pulse and take it for 15 seconds and times it by 4 and get a really good idea of whether you're working. Once you kind of get an idea of where that range is and what that feels like, you'll start to learn the perceived exertion. You'll start to know I'm there or I'm not there, you know, without even checking it. You just know how that feels when the heart's pitter pattering and you're sweating and stuff like that. So it changes a little bit with, you know, things like if you're starting to get a cold or something like that, your heart rate will go up much faster and things like that. But for day in and day out, those are the best ways to do it. So any other questions? We've got heart rate zones. We've got ways to put it together, ways to use it, where we can do it. Do it with a partner, do it with a group. It really doesn't matter. Like I said, there's just no wrong way to do it. Do it in public. Yeah. Maybe we'll do a flash mob. Maybe we'll do a flash mob hit workout at the mall one day or something. We'll all like jump out from behind bushes and with dumbbells and we'll do an on-demand hit workout. But
My friend and I did something similar when we did a flight. I ride my bike, she runs. We stopped at 2 miles and did an exercise, like hit exercise.
yeah. That's a good point too, that I didn't bring up. And you'll see us in the fitness centers doing that with cardio equipment a lot of times with clients. Okay, so like my personal favorite is a spin bike. Okay, and we have that spin bike out on the floor downstairs, and our spin bike's over at North End also. But a spin bike is a great way, or a treadmill is a great way to add some of that cardio in there where you've got a couple things sitting next to the spin bike. You jump on, pedal for 60 seconds, jump off, do 3 or 4 sets of exercises, jump on, pedal. So it doesn't necessarily have to be jumping jacks, burpees, you know, things like that. You can use those cardio pieces also. I like to bring up burpees and jumping jacks and things just because you can do them anywhere. It doesn't. Oh, I got a bum wing. Can you? Okay, I would definitely demonstrate a burpee for you, but based on my arm, I'm not going to. So, yeah. Sometimes, for me as a kid, I learned these as a squat thrust. Okay, so you might know it as a squat thrust, but it's now called a burpee. Yeah.
Jump your feet in. Okay, so jump. All right, I'm not a jumper, sorry.
Just go down, kick the feet up, kick the feet in,
Back in, step in,
and jump up.
jump down.
Yep.
Jump out.
And I will tell you, they will bring your heart rate up fast. Yeah, it's super effective. You can add a push-up in there if you want. Some people will go down, kick out, push up, jump up, and a little jump. You know, so again, if you're like, wow, I was going to do a pushing movement anyway, then throw the push-up in there and it's fine. But yeah, burpees are really good. But you will see all kinds of stuff about how people hate burpees. There are shirts that say I hate burpees, and typically when I tell one of my training clients we're going to do a set of burpees, they scowl at me. They're hard, okay? They're hard, but they are really good. I mean, they are really good. And when it comes to burpees, I wouldn't even necessarily worry so much about time, like 20 seconds, 30 seconds. I'd go, I'm going to do 5. I'm going to do 5 burpees, and then bicep curl, tricep extension, you know, body weight squat, you know, something like that, and get good at it. Because even for people that are fairly well conditioned, doing 15 or 20 burpees is going to be the upper limit, and they're going to be gassed. They're tough. They're tough, but they're really, really good. Really, really good. Good for your core, good for your legs. Yeah. The spear throw. Yeah. Spartan race is a lot like the alpha race, or warrior dash, all those different. Spartan race is a lot like that, a little bit higher intensity. And one of the things that they have to do is they have to throw a spear at a bale of hay, and if they miss or it doesn't stick, they have to do burpees as a punishment. So, and then you know, it's a race, so then people are going by you while you're doing burpees, and it's making you more tired. So we got lots of stuff. I mean, there's a lot to think about, but again, it comes back down to a very simple, easy to do package. Any other questions? Any other things you're thinking about? Think about heart rate, think about balance, where you're doing it, what you can use, resources, YouTube, big one. Hey, if you need ideas or something, email me. Our email addresses here are really easy to remember. My name is Matt Smith, so my email address is msmith@greatermidland.org. So pretty easy to remember. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Thursday, the idea Thursday is to kind of take more of this classroom learning environment and do some longer duration workouts and do some more participation and put some of these things together and make it more of a workout. Depending on who comes and what their ability is, we may quickly go through some of the things we've taken a little longer to talk through. But yes, the idea on Thursday is to put more of them together and do them for longer durations and really, you know, make it a group workout essentially. So yeah. So feel free to come back Thursday. Again, feel free to email me questions, anything like that. So Thursday is the same time, 6:30. Same time, same location. So, all right, well, that's a wrap. Thank you very much for coming out. And if I don't see you Thursday, I will see you in one of our fitness centers.